Ministry of Energy and Mines is working on restoring the national power grid after failure led to a nationwide power outage. South Korean lawmakers presented a bill on Wednesday to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol following the declaration of martial law. And the Gazan civil defense spokesperson denounced the appalling situation in the northern region of the enclave, ensuring that the Israeli regime is mounting an ethnic cleansing operation. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Beren de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. And we begin with the information. The Cuban Ministry of Energy and Mines reported they are working since early Wednesday morning on restoring the national power grid after a failure led to a nationwide power outage. Cuba's national electric company specified that the power grid was fully disconnected at 2:08 a.m. local time due to the unexpected shutdown of the Antonio Guiterres thermoelectric power plant. Reporting on the progress of recovery efforts, the company unveiled that in the capital, Havana, 12 hospitals and 21 circuits already have service. In this regard, the Ministry of Energy and Mines informed subsystems are already in place and working throughout the country, with the national system gradually being restored. The entity explained that this time conditions are more favorable than in previous incidents, since recovery efforts are not being affected by meteorological events. And in this context, the Cuban Minister of Labor and Social Security, Marta Elena Feito, informed that labor and teaching activities in the country are suspended due to the electric service failures, stressing that no workers' salaries will be affected. Feito also pointed out that the decision will be in place while the emergency lasts and that all vital services will be maintained. In other news, on Tuesday, the Venezuelan National Assembly approved in first discussion the draft budget law for the financial year 2025 presented by the Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. The legislative body highlighted the truly revolutionary character of the project that marks the beginning of a new cycle in the political, social, and economic life of the Bolivarian nation. The president of the legislative body, Jorge Rodriguez, recalled that the current good health of the economy is the product of the resistance of the people, and the norm that the parliamentarians are now discussing was born from the popular power. Parliamentarian Jesus Faria will now be in charge of referring the bill to the Standing Committee on the Economy, Finance, and National Development.
Vice President Delcy Rodriguez arrived at the National Assembly with good news. In spite of the illegal blockade by the United States, Venezuela's economy grew in 2024 and will continue its upward curve by 2025.
The ECLAC had projected a 5% growth for the year 2024, and 8.5% is the GDP growth for the first 3 quarters of 2024. The International Monetary Fund remained timid as always, and we can already affirm that 14 consecutive quarters of economic growth have been achieved in Venezuela. Why is it important to highlight it? Because unlike other countries, Venezuela is the rude victim of a siege, of an unprecedented economic aggression.
Growth was expressed not only in Venezuela, but also in Latin America.
And so we see that Venezuela will grow more than Bolivia, Chile, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Uruguay, according to ECLAC projections for the year 2025.
Para el año 2025. Estará Venezuela nuevamente entre los países que más
Venezuela will once again be among the countries that grow the most in the region. You know that our opinionate is, of course, difficulties, of course, vulnerabilities, of course. A country under siege as Venezuela is under siege, of course, but also what a great victorious resistance that our economy has had, mainly by its people.
Principalmente por su pueblo.
The presentation of the budget of about $23 billion for 2025, almost 80% of which will be destined to social issues, is the triumph not only of the economic aspect, but also of peace, which will be defended against the plans of the Venezuelan ultra-right wing that are being dismantled.
A esos extremistas hay que decírselos en la cara.
We have to tell those extremists to their face. There is a national union in the defense of Venezuela, so do not dare, because this people is tired of them, of those who have falsely assumed the condition to speak in a derogatory and denigrating way about Venezuelan women.
Falsamente se han arrogado la condición para hablar de manera despectiva y denigrante de las mujeres venezolanas.
And to that extremist lady with terrorist plans against the electrical system, against the gas distribution system, we say that we Venezuelan women are here, that we Bolivarian women are here to defend this homeland.
The special emphasis of the resources will be directed to the communal power.
A healthy, self-sustainable economy with an emphasis on our people, and with special attention to the people's power. That is the mandate you have as deputies.
The democratic opposition wants peace. Nothing matters more to us than peace. The democratic opposition rejects the use of violence in politics. It energetically repudiates foreign sanctions. The democratic opposition is committed to the best future for Venezuela, a future of generalized prosperity, so that peace, democracy, and well-being for all may be the sign of 2025. In our most enthusiastic endeavor, the economy tied to social issues is the key.
A survey reveals that 60% of the private sector perceives that the economic situation will improve in a year. The National Assembly approved in first discussion the two bills requested by the Vice President.
teleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela. And now we have a short break coming up, but first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Peru, the Latin American Network for Economic and Social Justice met on Tuesday in Lima to analyze the ultra-conservative offensive, the economic, social, and climate justice in the region. Within the discussions, the evasion of tax commitment of the great Latin American fortunes gained special relevance. 10% of Latin American millionaires concentrate 71% of the wealth in the entire region. However, they only pay 5.4% in taxes, according to figures from the Economic Commission for Latin American and the Caribbean, ECLAC. In this regard, meeting participants are organizing initiatives to offer alternatives to this very unequal model. And in the United States, economists predict an economic earthquake if Trump's planned mass deportation of illegal immigrants is carried out. Enrique Melo from New York City tells us more.
The massive deportations promised by President-elect Donald Trump, according to experts, could have catastrophic consequences for the U.S. economy.
There are so many constructions, so many bridges, so many things that are thanks to the work of our people. For the Hispanics who have immigrated for many years, a U.S. citizen will not come to earn $15 or $20 an hour. The U.S. citizen will want to earn more.
Según un reporte del Consejo de Inmigración
According to a report by the U.S. Immigration Council, the deportation of more than 11 million undocumented immigrants would cause a loss of up to $1.7 billion in gross domestic product, a number that would put the U.S. at the same level as the 2007
al
recession.
mismo nivel de la recesión de 2007.
The effort and labor that these immigrants put into this economy is huge. California, Florida, and here in Virginia, we are not going to see white people doing these jobs anymore because that is where the migrant population is.
Y es que cuando se habla de mano de obra,
And when it comes to labor, mass deportations would eliminate more than 30% of construction workers, 28% of agricultural workers, and a quarter of janitors.
y una cuarta parte de los trabajadores de la limpieza.
Businessmen who have a fear about losing these working hands, we also invite them to join this joint struggle. And that is where we are going to have to approach these small businesses. Because the big corporations like General Motors or Ford are already resenting these declarations. I believe that all this is a political, economic, electoral game, and we will soon see how everything moves after January 20th.
Según el Consejo de Inmigración estadounidense,
According to the U.S. Immigration Council, more than 1 million entrepreneurs are undocumented, and in 2022 generated more than $27 billion in revenue, as well as jobs. New York immigrants hope Trump won't judge the many for the wrongdoings of the few.
por las malas acciones de unos pocos.
Sí le pido al presidente que
I asked
toque
the
el
president to
corazón.
touch his heart, that all of us who are here are not bad. We are people who deserve opportunities,
Somos personas que
and that they give us the
merecemos
chance to work.
oportunidades y que nos den las oportunidades de trabajo.
Practically half of my clientele that I advise at the business level are people who work with an ITIN number. That is, people who do not have a valid social security number, but who nevertheless have companies, businesses, and employ many people.
Según el reporte, inmigrantes indocumentados
According to the
pagaron en
report,
2022
undocumented immigrants paid nearly $47 billion in federal taxes and more than $29 billion in state and local taxes in 2022.
Aunque el estudio muestra que el aporte de inmigrantes indocumentados
Although the
a
study
la
shows that the
economía
contribution
estadounidense
of
es
undocumented
indiscutible,
immigrants to the
la
U.S.
posibilidad de
economy
expulsión
is
del país
indisputable,
para muchos
the possibility
sigue
of
siendo un
removal
temor
from the
latente,
country for
por lo
many
que
remains
expertos
a latent
recomiendan
fear.
contar con un
So
abogado
experts
de
recommend
inmigración
having an
en caso de
immigration lawyer in
enfrentar
case
una
of
redada
facing
de
a deportation
deportación.
raid.
Pablo Daniel Ho y Henry Camelo, TeleSUR, Nueva York.
We now move on to other topics. South Korean lawmakers presented a bill on Wednesday to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol following his declaration of martial law, which triggered a clash between the parliament and the military. The motion to impeach the president was filed after the South Korean parliament rejected Yoon's bill to ban political activity and censor the media in the country. Concurrently, civic and labor groups held a vigil to demand the resignation of the South Korean president, who had already faced accusations of authoritarian leadership from his opponents and from within his own party. Amid tension, 6 hours after legislators presented a proposal to impeach the president, Yoon Suk-yeol rescinded the declaration of martial law. In this context, South Korea's Chief of General Staff, Admiral Kim Myung-so, ordered the military to be vigilant and maintain discipline in the face of potential threats amid the country's current crisis. Kim asked his troops to protect the safety of citizens first and foremost, and to maintain a firm posture of preparedness in the face of possible attacks from their northern neighbors. This order was given after the National Assembly lifted the martial law decreed by President Yoon Suk-yeol, precisely appealing to possible aggressions from Pyongyang, which were dismissed by all sectors of the country. The president's opponents claimed that his administration has wanted to use North Korea to hide the constitutional violations committed. And furthermore, the South Korean Defense Minister Kim Jong-un resigned amid the unprecedented crisis in the country. The chief of staff was deploying troops and has apologized to the people, holding part of the responsibility for the martial law that has generated this political crisis. The government, alongside with the United States, promised to defend the international order based on rules. Precisely, the president and the former defense minister were the main allies in the military operations conducted jointly by Washington and Tokyo in the Korean Peninsula, thus contributing to raising the risk of a nuclear confrontation in the area. Now we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you will be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. We go now to the Middle East as the Gazan civil defense spokesperson Mahmoud Bassal denounced the appalling situation in the northern region of the enclave, ensuring that Israeli regime is mounting an ethnic cleansing operation. The spokesperson assured that the northern strip has been the target of Israeli operations for the last 2 months, destroying entire families. The diplomat denounced constant shellings on residential areas and homes full of women and children. He further explained that although they are not working with a significant figure of military, their presence in the north is more necessary than ever. Bassal further claimed that Israel does not alert civilians before launching its criminal incursions. We continue in Palestine as the Safed Governorate records more than 321 violations by Israel in the occupied West Bank in the month of November alone. The allegations include the destruction of nearly 300-century-old olive trees in several villages in the Palestinian city of Safed, as well as more than 125 military incursions in which they looted homes and businesses and invaded properties, territory and crops, along with the illegal detention of 21 people. All of these as part of the Israeli expansion in the Palestinian territory. According to the document, the Tel Aviv regime executed 21 road closures and 43 checkpoints in order to isolate the Palestinian population. We go now to other topics. The guarania musical genre from Paraguay was declared Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO on Tuesday. The organization's Intergovernmental Committee for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage announced the decision during its 19th session, which is underway in the Paraguayan capital, Asunción. The guarania was declared Cultural Heritage of the country in 2010, and later in 2011, Paraguayans set August 27th as Guarania Day in homage to the birth of its creator, José Asunción Flores. This musical genre is characterized for being melodious with a slow and rhythmic beat and for expressing themes related to love, nostalgia for the homeland, the heroism of Paraguayan people, social problems, and poverty. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and also on TikTok. For teleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.